Okay, today is going to be interesting. We're going to be doing a lot of different things, basically combining geometry and algebra. Now, hopefully you're in the warm-up and you paid attention, and we're figuring out, hey, what a vertical angle is, what an adjacent angle, complementary and supplementary. Just to remind you, vertical angles are equal to each other, okay, such as 2 and 4 are directly across from each other, so whatever 2 is, 4 is, so they're equal. Adjacent angles just means next to. Complementary makes a 90-degree angle, and supplementary, you add them up to make 180, half a circle. Okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to first talk about the probably most difficult one, and that is vertical angles. Now, vertical means equal. We talked about that, right? So, to solve this, okay, you look at this angle and this angle, okay, and you know that they're equal. So if I know that these two are equal, I can write out an equation, okay, 8x plus 31. We know that that side is equal to the other side, 16x minus 9. So since they're equal, we'll set them equal, and then we will solve. Now, here's the new part. You have variables on both sides. So, how do I fix that, right? I need the variables on one side because that's the whole point, is you're isolating the variable to solve for x. So, to get them on the same side, normally, if you wanted to get rid of this, right, this part right here, you divide by 8, right, and leave the x. But in this case, I actually want to move the entire 8x to the other side. And I can do that. Subtract 8x, and you have no x's. And then you have to do the same thing over here, because in equations, whatever you do to one side, do to the other. And then, when you do that, you're left with 31 equals 16x minus 8x is 8x minus 9. And now we have a normal equation. This is equation you've been solving, so you should know how to do this from here, okay? So all we did was we get the variables on the same side first, so that it's an equation that we do know how to solve, where x is on just one side. Now, I will say this. I could have subtracted negative 16x as well, but I didn't because I wanted my x to be positive, okay? It's just an efficient way of doing it. Yes, I could have had my x's on the left side, but I would have ended up with negative 8x, which is not what I wanted. So, from here, you would just solve. Add 9, you get 40 equals 8x. And then the last step, divide by 8, x equals 5. However, that's not always the answer we're looking for, okay? And we'll get into that in a second, because it might want to, it says find the value of x. We found the value of x is equal to 5. Okay, but here in a second, we're going to figure out, we want to know what the angle actually equals, which means you would then plug it in to each's angle, right? This one was 8x plus 31, okay? But we'll get into that in a second. Now, supplementary, we know, is equal to 180. It should create a semicircle, and it does. This angle plus this angle makes a semicircle, right? Half a circle. So we know that this one, 7x minus 5, plus 9x minus 7, equals 180 degrees. If I add those two angles up, that should be 180 degrees. And we're going to combine like terms, 7x and 9x to get 16x, negative 5 and negative 7 to get negative 12. And there we go. Now we're just going to solve a typical equation, right? Plus 12, 16x equals 192. And then obviously come over here, divide that by 16. You're going to get 12. So x equals 12. There we go. So supplementary, we're going to add those two angles together and make it equal to 180. Okay. Complementary, right? It's going to be 90 degrees. Okay. So we're going to take 3x plus 11, right? This angle, And then we're going to take the other angle, this angle, 8x plus 2, add those together, and we know that when I do that, it'll equal 90 degrees. Right? Simplify it out. 3x and 8x is 11x. 11 plus 2 is 13. And now you can just solve to figure out what x is. And here's a look at a supplementary one, right? This plus this, as we talked about earlier, should equal 180. So do exactly that. 10x minus 13. That's from this one. This angle, they say, is x plus 6. So plus x plus 6 equals 180 degrees. And then obviously combine like terms to get 11x minus 7 equals 180. And then you'll solve that out. Now, let's now take a look at other types where they're not going to always ask you to find x. You'll still have to find x, but that's not the goal. Like if you look here, they want you to find measure of angle SQR. Now, that M and that what you see as a less than sign actually means measure of angle, and they want measure of angle S, so just draw it, SQR. That means they want that middle portion, right? It's always that middle one, like that Q and then RQT, right? Okay, so you'll follow that SQR, and then the other one they want is RQT, which is this one. And look, you can see that those two angles make 180 degrees, right? So I know that I can take 3x plus 20, and I can add that to 10x minus 22. And I know that all of that being added should equal 180 degrees. So now I can solve it out. 3x and 10x is 13x. 20 and negative 22 is negative 2. And it's equal to 180. So now I'm going to solve. Add 2 to both sides. Add 2. I'll get 13x equals 182. And I can come over here and I can test that out. 182, 13. That's going to go in once. Give me a 5, 2. And that's going to go in 4 times. And I'm going to get 14. So I know that x equals 14. But that's not my answer. Okay? They're not asking for what does x equal. They're asking for what do these measures equal. What does the specific angle. Now it's pretty easy, right? We know SQR, okay, which is this one, SQR, is this right here. Well, if I know x is 14, all I'm going to do is plug that in. Okay, so 10 times 14 is 140. 140 minus 22 is going to give me 118. So SQR is equal to 118 degrees. Now you'll do the same thing for the other one. X equals 14, right? It wants RQT, which is RQT, this one, which means they want to know what that one is. Okay, so 3 times, so I'm going to plug that into here as well, right? Because I now know what x equals. 3 times 14 is going to give you 42. 42 plus 20 is 62. So I now know what that degrees is. Now the good news is these two make a 180 degree supplementary angle. So in the end, you can always check it. 118 plus 62. Okay, and you're going to get 180. Checks out. There we go. So a lot of things going on here. Now, this one is vertical. This angle equals this angle. So we can take 5x plus 7 equals, what's the other angle? 8x minus 17. So these don't add up to anything. They're equal, right? So to solve this, the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to get the variables on the same side. And I would prefer that the variable end up positive. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 5x's. So they go away on this side and leave me with just 7. I'm going to subtract that 5x over here. And I'm left with 3x minus 17. And now I can just solve like a normal equation. Add 17, Add 17, get 24 equals 3x. Then I know that's 3 times x, so I can divide by 3, divide by 3. X equals 8. There we go. Now, when I take that, I'm going to plug that into these right here. So I'm going to plug 8 into here, okay? And I'm going to plug 8 into here to see what those actual angles equal. So they want L and K. All right, L and K. They want that middle section. Oh, there it is right there. We said it was 5x plus 7. Well, 5 times 8 is 40. 40 plus 7 is 47. Well, my other one better equal 47 too. Since they're equal, they want J and M. J and M. That's this portion. Those should be equal. Well, if I plug in 8, I get 8 times 8 is 64. 64 minus 17 is 47. So, checks out, right? And that's a vertical one. Now, obviously, if you're doing a complementary one, you plug it into that as well, okay? As you're going to see here, right? Sometimes they're going to be word problems. R and S, complementary. So if they're complementary, we know they add up to 90, right? So R is 2x plus 7. And then we have S, which is 4x minus 13. So add those two together. We know that they will equal 90 degrees. Solve that out. I'm going to have 6x minus 6 equals 90. Add 6, add 6. You'll get 96 equals 6x. I'm going to divide by 6. 96 divided by 6 goes in once. 3. So 16. I know that x equals 16. That's not my answer, though. Okay? It says find measure of angle R. Well, that's this. So I would actually have to plug that in. 2 times 16 is 32. 32 plus 7, 39 degrees. There we go. Pretty simple, okay? Be careful, though. My answer wasn't this right here. Yes, we needed to solve for that so that we could plug it in to what they said R was, okay? Vertical angles, right? Actually, let's skip down here real quick. The supplementary angles, remember, add up to 180. So I would be taking this one, 12x minus 7, and I would add to the other angle, 16x plus 19, and set it equal to 180. Now, in the end, once I simplify and I solve and I get x equals, remember, that's not your answer, right? Not my answer, at least not for this problem, because in this problem, they say find measure of angle C. I would have to plug x in to this right here to find out that, okay? Now, last example, vertical angles.